Morning, everyone. Welcome to DIKSHA Academy. Today is the introductory session of Praharsha 2023, an online expertise lecture series on insight to various dimensions, fertility science and Ayurveda with respect to Vajikarana. Vajikarana or Vrishachikitsa is one of the eight major specialities of Ashtanga Ayurveda. The subject is concerned with aphrodisiac virility and improving the health of progeny. As per Charaka Samhita, by proper use of these formulations, one is become endowed with good physique, potency, strength, and complexion, sexual exhilarated, and sexually potent. This in turn is helpful in many common sexual dysfunctions, including infertility, premature ejaculation, and erectile dysfunction. The therapy is preceded with by living in strict compliance with the directions mentioned in Ayurvedic classics, various methods of body cleansing, and other non medical strategies like sexual health promoting conduct, behavior, and diet. Certain individualized herbal and herbo-mineral combinations are administered as per the nature of a person according to Ayurveda. Many limitations needed to be considered before considering the use of these therapies, like the lack of scientific studies, possibility of adulteration in the herbo and herbo-mineral combinations available in the market, and possibility of unexpected side effects, etc. To know more about this Vajikarana, we, Diksha Academy, bring you Praharsha 2023. And what better way to start by than this introductory session by none other than the great Dr. Nisha Kumari ma'am here, who has joined us here on the topic introductory session on fertility science in Ayurveda. Though she doesn't need any introduction in our platform and she is part of our team, it is my great privilege and honor to introduce ma'am to this platform once again. Dr. Nisha Kumari is born and brought up in Udupi district of Karnataka, completed her BA/MS degree in the year 2003 from Alva's Ayurveda Medical College. She pursued her post-graduation degree in SDM Ayurveda Medical College, Udupi, completing specialization degree in Roga Nidana. She started her career from Alva's Ayurveda Medical College as assistant professor and consultant. She rendered her service as associate professor in SDM College of Ayurveda, Hassan as associate guide, PG guide, research scholar, and completed her major research project on antimicrobial action of Dupana against airborne microorganisms in indoor environment of Central Hospital. She wrote a textbook on Roga Nidana and Vikade Vijnana for second year BMS student, rendering her service as professor and head of department in Yenupoya Ayurveda Medical College, Mangalore. She has done various article publications in national and international index journals on subjects like Ama, Arbuda, Upashaya, microbiology, influence of classical dance on human health, gut microbiome, biotransformation, and xenobiotics. Currently, she has taken up next book writing on Sharira Kriya, 12 chapters of Charaka Samhita, second edition of Roganidana and Madhavina Vidana, which is in press. She is also doing her research work in gut microbiome and it is on influence on health in various systems of the body. Role of regular practice of classical dance in geriatrics. She has given many talks in various forums on topics like Pakvikara, Ama and its modern perspective, Prameha, Meduroga, thyroid disorders, joint disease, career guidance for Ayurvedic doctors, and many more. With the above accomplishments, she is currently working as a professor and head at Kundapura Rural Ayurveda Medical College, Udupi. We are very fortunate to have you here with us, ma'am, and welcome, ma'am. Now, before handing over the session, I would like to go through few of the basic instructions to be followed throughout the session. For an uninterrupted class session, use a laptop with high-speed internet connection. Please make sure your microphone is on mute to have a disturbance-free session. In case of any disruption, please check your internet connection first, and if the problem is within our network connection, kindly raise the issue in the chat box. Filling your full name to be displayed is appreciated. Participants can ask their questions to the faculties either by raising their hand or by posting it in the chat box. Questions raised in the chat box will be addressed at the end of the session. Now, without any further delay, let me hand over the session to ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Srilakshmi. Shall I share the
Hello,
screen?
ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me?
Ma'am,
Can you hear me?
there's a slight break in the voice, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, shall I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that introduction. Good evening to all listeners. It is always great feeling to address in this August gathering in the platform of DIKSHA. Today I'm an accidental speaker who unexpectedly got appeared. Now, why we should take up subjects like this, where we talk about Vajikarana and its surrounding aspects? Is it only pertaining to reproduction? Reproduction in Ayurveda also includes rejuvenation, restoration, repair, and regenesis. The Shukadhatu is meant to do all this when it is in its best form. Now, which branch of Ayurveda does it? The answer is Rasayana and Vajikarana. Vajikarana is the branch of Ayurveda for procreation as well as recreation. During those days, such topics were discussed for healthy self and healthy progeny, which is required for future generation. It comprises of genetics, eugenics, lifestyle, preventive medicine, geriatrics, sexology, psychology, and fertility science, which has been blended with arts. In other words, our ancestors wrote this treatise for healthy future generations. Unfortunately, we see that human fertility is decreasing drastically over the period of time. Sometimes babies are born with lots of congenital defects. It is due to Dushta Shukra and Dushta Shonita, the unawareness of this branch of Ayurveda. The prime reason of infertility cases, birth defect cases, is because of ignoring this eighth branch of Ayurveda by limiting it to erotic science, or it is sometimes used to treat few cases of infertility. It is relevant today to unveil, understand, and adopt the hidden knowledge of this unfamiliar branch of Ayurveda in a new perspective. On a general note, Praharsha means to be in excessive joy, gaiety, great mirth, exhilaration, delightful, and in the context of Vajikarna, it is sexual arousal. The current generation do face lots of mental stress, emotional weakness, increased sensitivity, increased ego, attitude issues, pride, and behave self entitled. In such scenario, not being happy is the cause of disease and live a worthless life. Adding Vajikarna to such individuals judiciously, I stress upon judiciously, you have to use Vajikarna judiciously, and this can bring the life and constructive progress in society. With this thought, Diksha Academy came up with the thought of Praharsha. There can be different dimensions of Vajikarna, like erotic science, fertility science, infertility, specialization, andrology, psychosocial and behavioral aspects, family planning, marital incongruence, and increasing infidelity. These days, we see we need to give good counseling to the couple. So, all married couple, at least in India, look up for progeny to continue their legacy. But we need to educate them to have healthy progeny. Please educate young couples to have Shodhana before conception. Educate them about fertilization. Educate them about Masanumasika Garbhavriddhi. Provide Masanumasika Garbhini to have healthy progeny. When I say healthy progeny, Shodhana before conception definitely cleanses the dhatus, due to which Shuddha Shukra and Shuddha Shonita gets conceived. Shodhana in female cleanses the ashaya where Garbha grows and develops. Shodhana cleanses the doshas, dhatus, and Shuddha Rasa dhatu. The Shuddha Rasa dhatu always nurtures the child. Shodhana, followed with Rasana and Vajikarna, gives the best to the child. I think the slides are not changing. I'll give me a second. Yeah. It's changing, I guess.
Yes, ma'am. It's and now in the procreation, education,
Yeah.
awareness, that slide.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Well, the praharsha is generated during intercourse. It's an expression that is generated during the intercourse. The praharsha in both couples is the first and foremost element to have healthy baby. It is not simply a physiological act of ejaculation required to have a healthy progeny. The psychological and emotional state between the partners are very important to emerge praharsha, bliss or happiness, and the shukra coming out under such emotion and passion between the couple always produces healthy baby as it is extracted from the best gene. The joy, the acceleration generated during the coitus stimulates the best form of Shukra and Shonita, and the zygote of the best Shukra and Shonita gives the best of Praja. Casual intercourse, forced intercourse, and intercourse that is not emotionally made up between the partners will not generate praharsha, and praharsha is not promising. Therefore, to generate praharsha, one has to undergo Vajikarna therapy. This will generate praharsha and Shukra will be at its best form. Due to praharsha, the fertilization may be successful, but to achieve pregnancy, the most unpredictable phase is the phase of implantation. So, for procreation, to educate the couple, to create awareness, to bring harmony in the marital life, to understand this erotic science, to know the fertility ratios, all that, the Vajikarna is said to be the best subject. And as I said earlier, it is to aim the healthy progeny right from the genetic level that requires proper growth and development through the process of Vajikarna. So the Praharsha, it is the gist of Vajikarna as well as all texts say that why the Praharsha is essential for selecting or extracting the best of Shukradhatu in both genders. And the fertilization is successful, and we know that fertilization is very much essential or it is a first step for any kind of making up of a progeny. But there is a shortcoming over here. Not all fertilization will lead to successful implantation, but for successful progeny, the implantation is a must. The Shukra ejaculated from Praharsha gives the most healthy progeny, and the status of Shukra, the status of Shonita, both directly influence on implantation. So, when the fertilization is happening, many of the times the fertilization is almost 99 to 100% successful, but the query is about the implantation. The Vajikarna Shastra is not just meant for generating the sexual arousal, producing Shukradhatu, and but also it is essential for successful implantation, which is actually from there onwards the actually pregnancy journey in a female begins. And here, after the fertilization is done, what next is important and what Vajikarna has influence over it? Let us see. As I said earlier, not all fertilization will lead to successful implantation, but for successful pregnancy, implantation is a must. The fertilization chances are always good, that ranges between 90 to 95%, but implantation is less than 80%. And unfortunately, these days it has decreased below 60%. This is what happens in case of artificial insemination or IVF treatments. The fertilization will be successful in many cases or almost all cases of artificial insemination, but implantation fails. Now, what factor influences implantation? Is there any particular X factor, any chemical, any hormone that produces implantation? So far, it is unclear what exactly causes implantation. The physiology says there is a two small pits that are produced in the walls of the endometrium, and the zygote will roll over and gets plugged into that pit in the endometrium. This is all experts say. So, what exactly influences implantation? It's not known. What exactly enhances implantation? No one knows. No one could control, influence, alter the implantation. Everybody could be able to attain such fertilization in the form of maybe in vitro or the real ones, but implantation was not at all under control. So we cannot assure on implantation in case of IVF. That is why some of the more many of the IVFs fails because of failure in the implantation. And 10 years ago, I had to meet Dr. Pratap Kumar, who is an expert in IVF science in KMC Manipal. So he told in one of the sessions that implantation is the actual challenge in most of the IVF cases. So if implantation is successful, then there is nothing much to be done. So it's only the implantation that plays tricks to the gynecologists or whoever is handling the infertility patients. So what they have done, so they have tried many injecting many hormones, but they couldn't find what exactly influences this. So he also told that in one of the cases, he took the zygote and he applied a glue and he plugged it in the wall of the endometrium, yet the implantation couldn't happen. So there we have answer in Ayurveda. So there is a word called as garbhastapana. That means implantation. The garbha, which is produced because of the combination of shukra as well as shonita inside the garbhashaya, along with the association of the jivatma, gets planted in the walls of garbhashaya, that is garbhastapana. Now Vajikarna has got influence over Garbhastapana also. Not only Vajikarna, there are other factors that influences Garbhastapana. Only Ayurveda science has this boom. The Vajikarna Chikitsa and increased quality of Shukra by generating Praharsha is one factor that influences implantation. Number two, the Praharsha generated in the female as well as the Pumsavana Karma will combinedly act as synergetic effect for the Garbhastapana. It fixes the accuracy of implantation. There is a uterine milk secreted by the walls of endometrium. So, uterine milk protein, they call it as so. The, it is primarily under the control of progesterone. It does protease inhibition. It gives nutrition of the conceptus, because we use the word conceptus because embryo has not yet formed, fetus has not yet formed. It is just conceived. So that is why we use the word conceptus. So nutrition of this conceptus is done by this uterine milk. The growth control as well as suppression of maternal immune system is done by this particular uterine milk. Now, why? Because you know very well that sperm is an external antigen to the uterus of a female body. So sperm doesn't belong to uterus body. So obviously, maternal immune system will invade the sperm and try to kill it. But it doesn't happen. The antibodies against the sperm will not be produced because of the secretion of timely uterine milk by the endometrium. The sperm is not identified as antigen, and therefore implantation can be possible. And it just plugs inside the pit of the endometrial wall, and this is the influence of uterine milk. So again, we give Pumsavana Karma by using Kshirapaka prepared out of Vatankura in the form of Nasya. Hypothesis can say that through Nasya and hypothalamus pituitary axis, the uterine milk can be secreted and this can enhance implantation. Hypothetically correct. Well, I was very curious to know whether these things occur practically. I have spoken personally to people who are actually practicing Pumsavana for Garbhastapana, not for gender discretion or whatever. I have spoken personally and I have observed that Pumsavana Karma as well as Garbhastapana are very well going hand in hand. They are very successful after all the women who really had implantation issues and who went Shodhana karma before conception, underwent conception, and after that underwent Pumsavana karma. And we saw proper implantation and proper growth and nourishment in the children in such individuals. So I have observed enhancement of quality of implantation or garbhastapana soon after Vajikarana Chikitsa, Shodhana Chikitsa, followed with Pumsavana karma. And I have seen this. I have not done it to my patients, but I have seen people who are expertise in this, and I have seen in my own eyes what they do, and I have seen the result. Uterine milk is a nutritive secretion that is produced by uterine glands, especially during early phases of mammalian gestation, and that nourishes the young mammalian embryo prior to the implantation. So, before implantation itself, it nurtures and it attracts the place where implantation should happen. So, this is one factor that have, even though hypothetically proven, and practically I have seen few, and I leave it to the listeners to try this practice, which are told very well in classics. Implantation of embryo, pre-embryo in the uterine lining begins about 5 days after fertilization. Implantation can be completed as early as 8 days or as late as 18 days after fertilization, usually 14 days. Here, implantation is garbhastapana, vajikarna with rasayana, Garbhadana Purvaka Shodhana, Pumsavana collectively does Garbhasthapana, I believe. Old gets dead. We need new. The existing one is injured. The existing one is damaged. The existing one is deceased. So, what we need to do now? We need to repair and regenesis for restoration. So, repair, regenesis, reproduction are the RRR of Vajikarna, I believe. So these are the triple force. Along with, if you add one, it will be giving rejuvenation. That's the complete effect because of repair, regenesis, and reproduction. And you know very well that there are two types of Shukra. They are Sthanika Shukra and Sarvadahika Shukra. Sthanika Shukra may be pertaining to the sexual reproduction by secreting relevant hormones and whatever for the sexual arousal, whereas Sarvadeka Shukra is beyond just sexual reproduction. So all kind of cellular reproduction, repair, and new cell production is required, and that is also one form of reproduction. So that is required all over the body: the skin, the hair, the nails, the cuticles, the blood vessels, new blood, everything is required in the new form. And there also we need Shukradhatu. So, as I said now, the Sarvadaika Shukra can be manifesting in two forms. So, cell reproduction as well as cell division. The synthesis of immune cells. Why? Because, say, you know very well that we need all the seven dhatus for the production of ojas, and ojas is the one which gives utsaha, vyadikshamatva, and so on. So, when we say about vyadikshamatva, we need to talk about the immune system. And all the immune cells are not related to Shukra. Some are from Rakta Dhatu, some are from Majja Dhatu, and some are from Shukra Dhatu. Well, I can say the blood cells like WBCs are derived from Rakta Dhatu. The Balya, what we say, it is from Rakta Dhatu's contribution. So some are derived from the marrow. All are from marrow cells only, yet, because it is the Majja is the original site where Shukra Dhatu has been produced. Whereas some of the cells, like I can say endothelial cells and the dendritic cells, all those are, we can say it is from the Sarvadaika Shukra. And apart from that, the cell cycle regulation in the form of mitotic division, the centromeres, the splitting up of the nucleus, then formation of daughter cells, all those are because of the influence of Sarvadaika Shukra. So we need Rakta, Shukra, as well as Ojas for proper functioning of cell reproduction as well as immune cell production. Then, aging is a natural phenomenon. Early aging due to xenobiotics and free radicals are happening these days. Now, when you say xenobiotics, this sounds a little new term. If you see the meaning of xenobiotics, those are the compounds that are present in the body. It is because of impaired metabolism that has happened since long. They are staying in your body since long. They are not getting excreted. They are remaining inside the body, they are combining with other healthy cells of your body and causing degeneration. This is the quality of xenobiotics as well as the free radicals. Now, if you see what exactly is the translation of xenobiotics in Ayurveda, it is nothing but ama. They said xenobiotics is the one which is not going to get excreted. It is going to combine with the cells, normal cells or healthy cells of the body, and destroying the integrity of healthy cells. The same thing ama also does. It doesn't get excreted. It combines with the normal doshas, normal dhatus of our body, and convert them into sama dosha avastha. Then it produces disease. Then it gives ama visha, and it can be fatal also. So presence of ama in the form of subtle or macro form, in you can say xenobiotics or free radicals, when they combine with the normal cells, they produce rapid aging. So these days we can see premature aging. Even students who are going to college, we can see gray hairs and all. So all that I can say it is because of environmental and stress like causes where amount of xenobiotics and free radicals are increasing. So, how to remove them? Again, they said xenobiotics cannot be removed from the body. Just like ama cannot be excreted from the body, xenobiotics also cannot be excreted from the body. What we have to do? We have to convert them. We have to biotransform them into less toxin form, and then you have to supposed to excrete them. Same in case of ama, also they have told you cannot excrete ama as ama. You are supposed to convert ama into nirama vasta, and then only you are supposed to eliminate it from the nearest root. So I totally believe xenobiotic as well as AMA goes very close by. The elimination technique of xenobiotics is biotransformation. The elimination technique of AMA is also transforming from nirama, sama to nirama. And here is a place where Shodhana is explained. So once the Shodhana is done, the xenobiotics and free radicals are removed. So the cells are revitalized, and those which harms the cells are removed. The aging process will be delayed. The complications of old age can be restricted, and it prevents the disease due to old age and have painless and zero dependency old age. So of course we cannot stop the process of old age. Old age is the natural thing. What we can resist is the complication produced because of old age, premature old age. So both can be achieved by means of Shodhana followed with Rasayana as well as Vajikarna. Now you may ask me a question, Rasayana is enough, why Vajikarna? See, why we need it? Because Rasayana cannot happen unless all the Saptadhatus are nurtured. Rasa Ayana, right? From Rasadhatu till Shukradhatu, all the Saptadhatus has to be nurtured. So to enhance Shukradhatu, you have Vajikarna. Once Rasa to Shukradhatu, all the Saptadhatus are nourished very well, only then Ojas is produced. And this is the Ojas which is giving immunity also, which is resisting the unwanted faster aging process. So I believe delaying aging process if you require, if you want to resist the complication due to old age, if you want to avoid fast aging process, you have to undergo Shodhana, Rasayana as well as Vajikarna. Well, apply Vajikarna judiciously. Again, I will just deviate the topic from medical purpose to the little bit of spiritual level. We all know the purpose of life is to have exploration in the life. We need to explore life in the form of Eshana, Praneshana, Dhaneshana, Paralokeshana. Prana is life, which should be protected to fulfill all wishes in life. Vajikarna is one such protective treatment to preserve prana and find love in yourself, respect in yourself. So it is a process of self awareness, self exploration, self discovery, self understanding, self love, self transformation, and self mastery, which gives you the spiritual health. Now, when we discuss about Rasayana Chikitsa, you might have heard about Kuti Praveshika Rasayana. So, a special form of kuti is been built, and a person is allowed to live there. And the kuti is specially built where you have different mazes, a wall, a door against a wall, and door. It is like a maze. So, it's a solitude life. You live there alone. There is no communication with the external world or anyone else. Staying alone, no communication with anyone, is a process of self realization. It is equivalent to hibernation. You might have heard about some of the animals like polar bear undergoing the process of hibernation. So during the time of winter, they go for a process of hibernation. They hide inside a burrow, and during this time, they go for a state of deep sleep. Now, why they go for hibernation and what exactly happens during hibernation? Otherwise, the heartbeat of a polar bear is almost 60 to 90 beats per minute. And when a polar bear goes for a hibernation, the heartbeat goes below 2 per minute. So heartbeat of 2 per minute. So this is energy conservation. It is conserving the energy. And that energy is used for catabolism for all those elements that has been accumulated in the body of that particular animal. So all the toxins, unmetabolized materials, all damaged, everything is repaired during the process of hibernation. So once hibernation is over, the body gets revitalized, re-energized, and it comes out as a new form. The rasayana is also something like that. It will burn off all the dead, unwanted toxins out of the body, which will pave the way for regenesis, new synthesis of new cells in new form and new energy. Rasayana with medication is health benefit along with a sabbatical. So it is not only for the body, it is also for the mind. So where you burn off all the negative things, negative people, negative world, stress, everything outside, and emerge as a new person. So this is Kuti Praveshika Rasayana, and also its role in close proximity with Vajikarana is this way. Told in Shastras under Vajikarana only how to appear, how to please, the courtship, behavior with the partner, manners, etiquette, social conduct, of not forcing into anything, demeanor, and find the partners of best compatibility. The couple with the best compatibility will be emotionally connected, experience praharsha, and have strong bond in their relationship. This will have long lasting relationship. Now, why I have put the uh, photo of geisha or momo? Because so Japanese momo or geisha are said to be the most elegant, having most elegant etiquettes. So if you just see them, the way they talk, the way they sit, the way they gaze, everything is just a poise. They're the most refined form of manners they have. Well, we have not picturized it that way, but in textbook it has given so. So the social life and conduct is also told in Vajikarana Shastra. It's not about just physical and physiological. The social as well as behavioral aspects were also described in this way. The ultimate aim of one's life is to attain moksha. Vajikarana will not ask you to have greed. Among all the 16 samskara, Grahastha is the period to avail the benefit of Vajikarana, and then later on, detachment for Vanaprastha and Sannyasa is told. One should enjoy all phases of life, and to attain ultimate happiness is to choose peace. So this will be attained through moksha. So what praneshana, dhaneshana, paralokeshana, all should be there. And in this space somewhere, to enjoy the bliss of materialistic world, you need vajikarana. And once you are done with it, you have to start the detachment and just looking to have ultimate peace. So this is the most of them will think that the vajikarana is the one which will make you get more attached to the materialistic world. It may not be the same always. So all uh, great personalities. I also say maybe the sages like Buddha, Mahavir, they all had their grahastha, they all had their families, and once they enjoyed the luxurious of all, then they decided to give up and go to the detachment, and finally, to get salvation, they just quit everything. Well, this is also a point to say you need to explore every aspect of life, including grahastha. Now, another purpose of promoting Vajikarana is to continue the legacy of some renowned families as well as kings or emperors or something, where the father transmits his wealth, property, or whatever to his heir. And if a person doesn't have then he has to undergo a treatment, get a hair. And this is also the reason why Vajikarna was little popular in those days. Vajikarna was widely practiced by royals to have progeny who will continue the legacy. And there is something called as eugenics told here. I have added that word also. But personally, I'll tell you, I do not accept the correlation of Vajikarna with that of eugenics. A few years ago, I got to know about a seminar on Vajikarna, and they have translated Vajikarna into eugenics or something like that, and it had the word eugenics. Then I just studied this particular word, what is it? And it was not that much friendly with the word of Vajikarna or the concept of Vajikarna. Why? Because eugenics is the study of agencies under social control that may improve or impair racial qualities of future generation, either physically or mentally. So what they do is they will select a particular population, and if they find that particular population is healthy, prosperous, that particular population should multiply. And if at all that particular population is of no use, if they are disabled or if they are considered as something inferior, then that particular group are destroyed or abolished. So eugenics is the study of agencies under social control that may improve or impair racial qualities of future generation, either physically or mentally. So scientists, statisticians, economists, anthropologists, sociologists, social reformers, geneticians, public health officials, and members of general public health officials supported eugenics through a variety of academic and popular literature. The most well-known application of eugenics occurred in Nazi Germany, which led up in the World War II and the Holocaust. So they actually use this concept for impairing or destroying a particular group of people they deem to be of unworthy life. In Germany, Austria, and other occupied territories, they, at least 70,000 adults, 5,200 children were destroyed, and also forced sterilization of 4 lakh victims were done. So this culminated a near destruction of Jewish people in those days. So it's a science of racist, that they say, uh, scientific racism that they call. So eugenics is in a way it is a scientific racism, but in Ayurveda such kind of hatred or destruction of a population is not told. Rather, enhancement of healthy progeny is told. So even though there has been some words like Atulya Gotriya, where a group of kulas where one should not get married to, all those might have told. But it is not out of hate, it is out of caution they have told about it. So selection of partner, selection of what you can say, what kind of hair would you like to have, is present through the eugenics in one way. So eugenics as well as Vajikarna, I don't think it goes hand in hand. But if it is for the improvisation, well, I agree. But if it is for the sake of impairment of a particular population, well, I need to object this particular concept of adding eugenics to that of Vajikarna. So they have told about marriages or cohabitation by the persons of different race, interracial marriages and all. Again, it also deals with whether it is for the impairment or it is for the improvisation. Well, whatever it is, coming back, the importance or role of Vajikarna to have the continuity in the legacy, the empirehood, as well as kingdom. And little bit of gender discretion were there, of course. Procedures like Putra Kameshti Yajna to have a male baby, or Pumsavana Karma to have gender bias. Of course, those were there. I think we can just ignore. What we can focus is Vajikarna aims to have a healthy progeny, or a progeny if you really desire to have. Well, again, Vajikarna is also used in the form of like by rich people. It is said that the rich people in the society used to undergo this kind of treatment just for the sake of fantasy, or just for the sake of lavishness, enjoy luxury, materialistic world as well as bliss. So in the you can see different kinds of examples where they have multiple partners, and it's just not to have the procreation, it is to have the recreation as well. So Vajikarna was used for both as procreation as well as recreation purpose also. Now, this is the actual reason why the Vajikarna was widely used to cure impotency, frigidity, as well as incongruence. Well, we see a lot of treatment procedures for male infertility, but or impotency also. But frigidity is the one which is less spoken. Unfortunately, if there is any, I would like to know why. Because as I said earlier, Praharsha is the emotion that is generated between both the partners for having a healthy progeny, for the proper garbhastapana as well as secretion of, ejaculation of the right shukra. The emotion of praharsha has to be generated by both the partners. Whereas if impotency is there, well, we need to know about, we can know about it. But about the frigidity, that is impotency or loss of sexual interest in females, it is less spoken, but that also should be addressed. The utpatti of Shukra takes place by Shukra Dhatu Agni. You know, so this particular Dhatu is present in both the genders. So it is essential to address the frigidity issues in case of females as well. Infertility as well as Vajikarana is the only aspect which is spoken today, both male as well as female, but Vajikarana as such is more popular among the male gender. All that you do is not only to have a progeny, but the healthy generation next. Here, the Utpatti of Shukradhatu takes place by Shukradhatu Agni from the Poshaka Majjadhatu, that is derived from Sara. The best form and the quality of Sara as well as Rasadi Dhatus produces the best seventh Dhatu, that is Shukra. The healthy gut produces adequate and purest form of Shukra. Both healthy gut and Shukra helps keeping the mind healthy and give cheerfulness. See here, the Koshta is the place where Utpatti of all the Dhatus takes place, including Shukra. You know that there are a lot of gut microbes that are having here, that are present here. As I said, off late, I connect every diseases to gut microbes. So there are gut microbes that select the Poshaka Shukradhatu and convert them into Shukradhatu as such. If there is deficiency of this, then Utpatti of Shukradhatu may not be possible. That is why you have lot of Kashaya yogas, which are Jivaniya, Brahmaniya, Vrishya, Shukra Jananartha, Shukra Shodhaka, as well as Prajastapanartha. All these Kashayas we give internally, and this is to enhance the Dhatu Agnis as well as the Jatarakni, because of which proper Pachana will take place. Because of proper Pachana, Sara is produced. Because of proper Sara, the seven Dhatus are produced properly and equally. And once the Shukra Dhatu is produced, you know that there are two forms of Shukra. One is Stanika as well as Sarvadaika. The Sarvadaika is the one which has got its influence not only to the body but also the mind. Some of the chemicals, neurotransmitters, hormones can be related to Sarvadaika Shukra. One I have already told a little ago about cell multiplication as well as cell reproduction. And one more Sarvadaika Shukra I would like to say, the one which connects the gut microbe with that of the mind is also a form of Sarvadaika Shukra. The best form of Shukra gives good amount of ojas. As I told earlier, it's after the Saptadhatu Utpatti, the essence of all the Saptadhatus produces ojas. So the Shukradhatu as well as the ojas gives bala, utsaha, shaurya, dhairya, yadikshamatva, swastha as well as dirgayu in an individual. So Vajikarna is not just for the sake of fertility reasons, but also the overall utpatti of Shukradhatu, because of which all the Saptadhatus are completely produced. Once the Saptadhatus are completely produced, Ojo Utpatti is adequate, and this Ojas does all the work which needs to be done. Now, one more interesting point I would like to add on Sarvadaika Shukra. So, pheromones. A pheromone is secreted or excreted chemical factor that triggers a social response in members of same species. Pheromones are chemicals capable of acting like hormones outside the body of secreting individual to affect the behavior of a receiving individual. Please note this. So alarm pheromones you can see in some of the insects. So many of the times cockroaches do this. So you get that very very obnoxious smell from the cockroach. It is because it secretes that particular chemical so that other cockroaches understand that there is a danger and they will not approach the same spot and they go away. It's a signal. So that is what alarm pheromones do. Foot trail, it is most commonly seen in ants, Pipilica. So when any ant sees any form of food particle or jaggery or something which is lying on the floor, so it will secrete pheromones in such a way that it will attract all the other ants towards it to have food. And there are also sex hormones which will attract the partner. So I'll give this example of the same polar bear. The male polar bear produces pheromones where the female pheromone polar bear can identify, can smell this pheromone 60 kilometers away from this male polar bear. So pheromones are so strong. So the male releases the hormone and the partner of that particular male species will search just based on the fragrance or aroma of it. In humans, it may be subdued, but in some most many animals, it are very, very active. So I feel this is also one variety of Sarvadaika Shukra. So when a person gets sexually attracted towards another person, they release pheromones. This chemical can be in the form of fragrance, a typical odor. And if this odor, if it is liked by the person, then there is compatible chemistry between the two. Research say it is not the looks that causes attraction, but it is the inherent odor. So I feel this is also one of the Sarvadeka Shukra, where glands in our armpits, genital regions, and navels, and also sometimes some other parts of the skin secrete pheromones. Or pheromones is a scent. It reaches the nose of a woman or an opposite gender, and the olfaction system of the receiver will bypass the rational brain, who won't see whether how is a look and all, who is he. It doesn't see actually. This information is fed directly to the behavior center in the women's brain. And if this information communicated by the pheromone scent is positive, that means if she likes it, then the sexual response may be observed. So there may be attraction between the two. And yes, this can show the chemistry compatibility between the two people. So I feel this is again a Sarvadaika Shukra. You have description about Gandha Dravyas. Gandhamalanulepana is one of the step of courtship mentioned in ancient text for sexual arousal. Different fragrances are told. Even today, perfumes are used where one of the attraction of it is this is also the one. Again, all these aushadhis, what are told just now, Brishya, Prajastapana, Vayastapana, Garbhastapana, Shukravriddhi, Shukrashodhana, all these aushadhis combinedly produces Praharsha. The Praharsha of sexual arousal and Praharsha in general. The four hormones are secreted because of this. And those are called as happy hormones. So Praharsha, not only as a sexual arousal, as well as the refractory phase after the post sexual feeling, but also otherwise it releases dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, as well as serotonin. All these four hormones gives a sense of cheerfulness, livelihood. The person feels happy and active. You might have seen a newlywed couple, they look more cheerful, more pleasing. So because of this particular physiology or phenomena, all these kind of four kind of hormones, they may be periodic and after some time they may go low. Again, some kind of stimulation may be required. I would like to remind you one thing. Happiness is subjective. I'm not telling that all happiness is present in Praharsha or Vajikarna. No, some people may find bliss in singing devotional songs or listening music or dancing or something. But this is a general notion where Praharsha stimulates the secretion of happy hormone, and this exhilaration is seen otherwise also, where you can see three pictures of different age groups: a child, a young man as well as an old woman. So I won't say Vajikarna sense is responsible for all the three kinds of cheerfulness, where happiness is definitely a relative subject in different ages for a child, for a youth, as well as old age. But the Vajikarna stimulates four happy hormones in the later ones. That is for sure, right? With this, I would like to say I'm not an expert in Vajikarna, but whatever I have studied in relation to pheromones, in relation to implantation, in relation to Praharsha, which extracts the best shukra, and in relation to the infertility treatments, I've just given a bird's eye view about all these things. In the future sessions, you'll be having the particular discussions on treatment of infertility, food habits, as well as lifestyle to manage or to enhance fertility issues. Fertility, the medicines which enhance fertility, and also different kinds of references that are present and its interpretation in various corners of our samhitas in upcoming sessions. So I may not be able to answer all the technical queries related to Vajikarna as such, but with this presentation, if you have any queries, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was such a wonderful introductory session. And now the session is open for discussion. I request the participants to either raise their hand or post their question in the chat box. Participants, if you have any doubts or you want to discuss something or share something with us, please raise your hand so that we can unmute you to discuss. Ma'am, there is a question.
Yeah.
Namaste, ma'am. Please enlighten us about the physiology of effect of stress on Praharsana.
Well, I think this is a direct issue. I'll just use the slide and go ahead. I can explain you in two aspects. One, the stress is the one which increases the production of stress hormone from the adrenals. So adrenals get stimulated. It's not the testosterone that gets stimulated. So though hormone that is produced by the adrenals as a stress hormone, they will decrease the productivity of testosterone as well as androgens. So, because of decrease in the androgens as well as testosterones, there can be decreased sexual drive, decreased sexual arousal, or even though they are in the enactment of sexual intercourse, there won't be much productivity. So, the increased stress stimulates the production of stress hormone. This stress hormone will nullify the productivity of androgens. This is one thing. The second one thing, if you want me to explain in Ayurvedic point of view, so chinta, trasa, both will cause increased vata dosha. Increased vata dosha will increase raukshata. This raukshata will cause decrease or poor quality of shukra utpatti and also the ojokshaya. Because of this, productivity is less. Even rasakshaya is also there. Many of us, when it comes to Vajikarna, we only talk about Shukradhatu. No, please remember, you also have Stanya as well as Artava as a part of Rasa. also which is having close proximity with that of reproductive life of both of women. This is also essential in women's sexual drive. So there can be alteration in the menstrual cycle when it comes to artavadushti also can be seen. And because of this impairment, again, finally it goes to the pituitary gland, where in her also the estrogen level also will be impaired. So have you seen testosterone decreasing in quantity in case of males? In the same way, the estrogen productivity also will be altered because of rasadushti there. In males, maybe directly shukradushti, but in females, rasadushti. In both the conditions, vatavriddhi can happen. So with these two, I can say stress can alter, stress can completely destroy the fertility rates. Another
Okay.
reason is, even though there is a chance of fertilization, the increased blood pressure can cause spasms in the uterus that can cause miscarriage. So, of late, I have seen one patient, I won't say patient, one of my colleague. Well, of course, first twice she had miscarriages, and now once she gets conceived, she get very much stress, anxiety is there. So, because of her anxiety, the blood pressure rises, it shoots up, and then no, she doesn't have sleep and all those things. Because of that nervousness, she gets spasm. And then I think 1 month ago she had the fifth miscarriage. So anxiety also is very bad, both for the sake of both for the arousal also, and also for once conception is done, even after that also stress is not good. Stress is not good in any form, any levels.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Moving to the next question. Ma'am, what are the Shodhana procedures related to Vajikarana?
Well, it should be quite careful over here. Why? Because many of the times we think that Virechana is the best way of Shodhana and it's the only way of Shodhana. Well, we cannot say that. If there are overall dosha vriddhi, better to start with Vamana in Vasanta Rutu, Virechana in Sharad Rutu, and then you can start with the Mahakashayas, which are told in Charaka Samhita, Shadvirechaniya Adhyaya. Their Mahakashayas are told for Prajastapana. So once the Shodhana is done in form of Vamana as well as Virechana both, then Mahakashaya can be consumed. And of course, then you can think of Rasayana, and then you can talk about Garbhadana. So here, without doing Vamana, it's better to avoid Virechana. So we can see that lot of complications that has arisen after Virechana without undergoing Vamana. Many of the patients started developing bloating, abdominal distension, pain abdomen for of unknown reasons. Once they had done Virechana for no reason, so they just came, they just wanted to do Virechana. Of course, there is no health issues, but they wanted to do Virechana, and they have undergone Virechana. And without testing the amount of presence of kapha dosha in the body, when Virechana was done, the kapha will come down to Grahani and cause Agni-manya, and it will worsen the situation. So look into the presence or absence of kapha there. If kapha is absolutely zero, only then directly go for Virechana. Otherwise, start with Vamana. At least do Ullekana. What is Ullekana? I hope you all know that. Just take, wake up in the morning and in kapha kala at empty stomach, drink salt water and induce vomiting. At least do that. If at all, if no kapha, at least do Ullekana and then go for Virechana. But directly do not go for Virechana. It may cause some unwanted complications and it may worsen the condition further. So Vamana first, Virechana next, then Mahakashaya, then Rasayana, and then Garbhadana.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Ma'am, can you please explain in detail about the Pumsavana karma?
We have seen, I have, as I said, I have not done, but I have seen people who are practicing. They have taken the tender leaves of Vatapatra, and they have prepared Kshira Pak out of it, just two only. So another person has prepared Kshira Paka with the Jivaniya Dravyas, Jivanti, Kakoli, Kshira Kakoli, Mudgaparni, Mashaparni, and they have done Kshira Pak out of it along with Lakshmana, and then they have given Nasya. So here also, Shodhana has to be done first. So Shodhana in the form of Vamana was done, Virechana was done, and then Nasya was given by using Kshirapaka, that is prepared from Vatankura, tender leaves of Vata. Tender leaves of Vata. Sorry, Vata is most practiced formula for Pumsavan.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Um, ma'am, gut plus Vajikarna relationship.
Yeah, as I have told just now, it is the gut is the place where utpatti of all the saptadhatu take place. So Dhatuvagni, Jatragni, Bhutagni, Dhatuvagni, these are the three. Bhutagni is present in the stomach, that gives the mechanical digestion. Jatragni is present in duodenum, that which does the chemical digestion. Whereas Dhatuvagni is present in the proximal part of small intestine and little bit near the jejunum. Small intestine, I will say jejunum, and also ileum, where absorption and assimilation takes place. So pachana, paka, and parinama. Pachana happens by bhutagni, paka happens by jatragni, parinama, that is conversion of ahara into dhatus, happens by means of dhatuvagni. And that happens in the small intestine where villi are present, and that is the place where in the intestine the microbes will dwell. In the large intestine is also the place where gut microbes, friendly microbes, will dwell. They have the intrinsic factors, for example vitamin K, folic acid. They are the one which converts poshaka rasadhatu into raktadhatu. The blood is produced because of the intrinsic factor. And if these bacteria are not there, probably utpatti of raktadhatu is not happening. If raktadhatu utpatti doesn't happen, the next dhatu doesn't happen, Uttarottara Dhatu Kshaya takes place, Shukra Dhatu Utpatti doesn't happen. So that is the reason why these intrinsic factors in the form of gut bacteria are present to convert crude food into something assimilable, which are tissue acceptable. So that is why gut health is very important to enhance the quality or effect of Vajikarana.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Moving to the next question. Ma'am, please express your view on sex education in high schools as a part of prevention of future sexual issues related infertility. Also, how to include Ayurveda concepts in it.
Well, it is a very, very important question these days. I know we as a children at a point of teenage, what you call, is a transitional period where we come across a lot of turmoils of hormonal tsunami, what we can say. And definitely sex education is very much essential during that time. Parental guidance is also very much essential during that time. During the period of Ayurveda period, I can say the age of marriage was quite early. So maybe the boy was in late teens or early 20s, and girl was even of lesser age. So in those days, now we call it as child marriage, but in those days it was quite early. So people were living in having a joint family or a social life where parents would transmit whatever information related to this they had. Of course, those were confidential. But nowadays we have nuclear family, and parents are too busy to describe about all this to their children, and they have no clue what's going on, and finally they fall into prey or temptation of unwanted things. And in such scenario, it is very good that if they include sex education in high schools, and parents as well as teachers both should join their hands in creating awareness in this. If you say Ayurveda as such, nothing is told about this, but we can say about what you can this garbhadana, fertilization, and all those things. The definition of garbha, all those things they have told, but it is not in terms of education to younger kids. Whatever reference that are present in the classics are for medical education, not for children actually. And there is no Ayurveda and modern, I feel, for sex education for high school students. Generally, we can take up. There is nothing to call Ayurvedic form of education, because in textbook it is for medical purpose. So generally, you can go with whatever awareness you want to create related to fertilization and precautions for STDs and probable chances of pregnancy and how to stay cautious, how to control mind, everything related to that. Generally, you can go, not specifically in terms of Ayurveda. That's what I believe.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, pheromones, Ayurvedic correlation.
Yeah, I as it is getting emitted from the body, I feel it is one form of Sarvadaika Shukra, number one, because it is for the purpose of sexual arousal. In case of birds and all, they attract their partners by showing their colorful feathers or something. Whereas in case of some mammals, including humans, they emit this particular fragrance. The same thing happen in case of musk deer. It is for the sake of sexual attraction only. And I said about polar bear. And also in case of humans, there is our subconscious mind will pursue this and they find it compatible or not. And I feel this is a form of Sarvadaika Shukra, number one. Otherwise, it must be a form of Pitta, especially Brajaka Pitta, because Gandha, Durgandha comes from Pitta. So whether it is Lohita Gandha, Visragandha, Durgandha because of Atisveda, Matsya Gandha, all these kinds of different form of Gandha comes. And the Brajaka Pitta is present in the skin as well as it is one form of metabolic form of Pitta, and pheromones are also one form of metabolic chemical. It is secreted from the body. So either it is the Sarvadaika Shukra or it is one of the derivative from Brajaka Pitta that emits Gandha.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Moving to the next question. Ma'am, for Snehapana, which is best in case of infertility?
Popular practiced Grita is Falagrita. We
Okay,
can go
ma'am.
with Falagrita. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please elaborate the application of Vajikarana in any form in women?
That's what I have a little bit of objection in our classics. So many of the time they I don't say many of the time. Wherever I read, as far as my knowledge goes, it all focuses on male gender. So treating male infertility, treating male impotency, giving treatment to male, enhancing shukra, increasing potency, all that. But seldom about female frigidity or whatever it is. Of course, female infertility is told in the form of vandyatva and all, but as such, when you talk about sexual arousal, this point is less spoken. But yes, I have spoken to few of the practitioners. Pushpa Dhanvarasa, as well as, Pushpa Dhanvarasa is quite advisable in case of female frigidity. And Madana Kameshwari Rasa is also another prescription for female frigidity, not infertility, frigidity.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the effect of increased age in Praharsha, especially in modern era? Is that one of the factors leading to infertility?
Increasing age, if you call about male, well, there is no much discretion of praharsha in male gender, but in females, they lose their interest much earlier. So, number one, maybe most of the women do not, statistics shows, do not likely to get indulged after they have their first child. Whereas in case of male, it is not so. They do get arousals. There is no age limit. Well, there are references about Jaraja Clibia also, where medicines are given, especially Shilajatu Rasayana is indicated, where the chances of infertility as well as arousal of the sexual interest to produce in old age are also present. And the effect of increasing age, I can say one point, it is praharsha is subjective. As I said, if the compatibility is not present between the partners, forget about age, nothing works. Number two, I can say because of increased vata dosha, there can be increased dhatukshaya. Dhatukshaya can happen, which causes shukrakshaya as well as ojakshaya. But again, if you are talking increased age, it is related to vardhakya, old age. And again, statistics also says, well, males do find praharsha after the age of 60s also. So I don't find much of influence of praharsha as age goes with case of male, except in case of female. When it comes to fertility, again, males also do not have a pause for their fertility as long as they can produce the sperms, whereas in case of females, they have limited amount of eggs. So they in case of males, they have millions of sperms coming out, whereas in case of female, it is one egg coming out every month. That too, up to the age, it may start at the age of 20s, even though a girl starts menstruating at the age of teens, ovulation begins a little later. So if you just catch up to the age of 20 to 21, where she begins to ovulate, and maybe at the age of 45 or 50, all the eggs will be completed. So she attains menopause over there itself. So this is her fixed period. Whereas in case of males, such thing is not there. So effect of increased age in Praharsha, especially in modern era, has got to female more. You can see the age of menopause getting little earlier, even the age at the age of 35, near before 40 itself, we see menopause in case of females. And at the same time, some of the gynecologists also advise that if they get conceived at the age of 40, it's better not to continue the pregnancy also. I have heard few of the gynecologists suggesting so. If they are conceived much earlier, it is well and good. So early they get at the before the age of 30, if they have their first child, it is the safest one. Again, the influence of all these things do have over the ovum. Again, it is towards the female, not towards the male. I feel Praharsha has got its effect on females more than the males.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Um, Ma'am, females have frigidity issues a lot. Can any Shodhana karma treat this?
Yeah, as I said earlier, Shodhana, again, I told you, look into the doshas, because both Kapha as well as Pitta, Pitta is actually required for Artava Chakra, because Artava Magneyam. It's a wrong notion that doing Virechana will cure all issues related to menstruation. So PCOS, PCOD, amenorrhea, irregular periods, for that, don't think that Virechana is the ultimate treatment. Definitely not. If there is issues related to Avarana, in such cases, Virechana is advisable. Otherwise, we need to increase Pitta and we need to increase Rakta in such conditions. You have to look into the condition and then go. Why I'm telling? Because there was a patient who is suffering from Granthi in the uterus, and the doctor gave Vamana to the patient. And believe me or not, after giving Vamana, the size of the cyst reduced and it got cured also when the next sonography was done. So Vamana was given, not Virechana. And also in case of Nashta Pushpantakarasa, if you see, the reference is you should give Nashta Pushpantakarasa in Anartava. Shodhana has to be done. This is the reference given by Sushruta. He didn't say which, but Dalhana gave the commentary. Shodhayit Urdhvam. He said it very clearly. Urdhva Shodhana means what? It's Vamana. So Vamana has to be done, and then this particular medicine has to be given in case of primary amenorrhea. This is a treatment. So don't think that Virechana is the cure for all kinds of gynecological remedy for all gynecological reasons. Look into the dosha and context and read the shloka properly. And there is the importance of commentary. Read the commentary properly. What kind of shodhana they have precisely told in which kind of dushti. Kafaja Arthava Dushti, what kind of Shodhana, Pittaja Arthava Dushti, what kind of Shodhana, they have told it very clearly. Whereas in case of males, Virechana is very good. But in case of females, you should apply Virechana judiciously. I think that was the question, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions from participants?
Panchakarma facilities not available. Well, try not to use any shortcuts when it comes to Panchakarma and Vajikarna, because most of the times we lose patients because they are not ready to undergo Shodhana. Without Shodhana, Rasana will not give desired effect. Without Rasana, Vajikarna will not give desired effect. So please avoid shortcuts in case of Ayurveda treatment. I know it's a busy world, time is money, I understand. But unless you give time for your doctor, then we cannot resolve the root cause. We say that Ayurveda cures the disease by its root cause. When you want to remove the root, obviously you need a lot of time. Okay, and here one short form you can use in the form of ullekana by giving salt water, and that's it. For Vamana, you can do, but if you are intending to give Virechana, the shortcut is definitely wrong. And I have also told you, if you don't follow the rules of Shodhana properly, it may produce Vyapat and it may produce lot of bloating, abdominal bloating will be there. I'll tell you, I am one of the patient. I have ignored the precision of Virechana, and of late I am suffering from tremendous bloating. And from the past 5 years, ever since I have done Virechana, I am suffering from bloating because I didn't follow the rules during Snehapana. Even after Virechana also, it was still there. I have to undergo proper Virechana once again, and maybe that time the things will be resolved. So I would like to advise not to adopt any kind of shortcuts for Shodhana or any kinds of compromise when it comes to Panchakarma.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions from participants? Participants with any more questions are requested to either raise their hand or post their question in the chat box.
Very good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, I just want to know what exactly are the topics which are going to be covered in this particular course. Please tell.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Give me a second. Yeah, here you have four different speakers, and the topics which are going to we are going to discuss over here is, today we had finished the keynote aspect where we just covered the umbrella of it, and second, one more session will be related to different kinds of ailments and treatments that covers Vajikarana Chikitsa, and it includes Chikitsa for male infertility. There is one session related to what all references are there about Vajikarna and fertility science in different samhitas and different corners of Ayurveda. Then another session will be on different kinds of kastaushadhi, that is herbal medicine, as well as rasoshadhis, which are practiced in case of different diseases related to Vajikarna, which includes infertility, impotency of both the genders. Then the one more session is related to different kinds of ahara and charya, which enhances the effect of Vajikarna in clinical practice. Would you like to add up any subjects to this particularly?
Just a second, ma'am.
Ma'am, I just have a one query. Ma'am, what is the basic difference between the infertility and impotency, ma'am? Can you please elaborate?
Sure. Infertility is the defect in producing the progeny. They may be able to perform the sexual intercourse with their partners, but the sperm that is ejaculated by the male or the ovum that is produced by the female are not producing the progeny. So, male infertility, they can perform the sexual act but cannot produce the children. Female infertility, again, they can involve actively during sexual intercourse but they cannot produce the children. What is impotency? Impotency is a condition where they do not get sexual arousal. They cannot perform sexual intercourse with their partners. They do not have interest in sexual act, or even if they have, they are not able to get arousal and perform the intercourse. This is impotency.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Um, Ma'am, erectile dysfunction due to diabetic mellitus, can it be curable?
This will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. I'll keep that question to that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions from participants? Any more queries or suggestions? Please come forward. Okay, ma'am. I guess there are no more questions, ma'am. So, okay, doctor, you will definitely take your suggestion in consideration regarding the addition of Panchakarma to the series.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it is there in the next session. Various
yes,
disorders
ma'am.
with indication of Vajikarana Chikitsa, which also includes Panchakarma. That is definitely there. In
Oh,
this series,
okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, is there any more questions from participants? Okay, ma'am. So, shall I conclude, ma'am?
yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for those wonderful introductory sessions and, for giving us a bird's eye view of all the Vajikarna and the Ayurvedic concepts as well as the modern aspects. And thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you all for joining us today. This is just the introductory session of Praharshana, and all the course details and everything will be shared. And to know more about us, please don't forget to rate us on Google. And the link for the same is provided in the chat box right now. Please click on the link and rate us on Google so that we can bring more such amazing sessions and courses to you where it will be helpful for or everyone in the Ayurvedic fraternity. Thank you all once again for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you all in the upcoming sessions of Praharshana. Once again, thank you all. I wish you have a great evening ahead. Thank you all and good night.